Everyone remembers their first time seeing the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, the thud of its steps, the tremble of the water glass, the roar that made the hair on your arms stand up. Back then, it was the ultimate predator, towering, relentless, unstoppable. Even decades later, that moment still defines what most people imagine when they hear the word T-Rex. But what if I told you that version, the cinematic king of the dinosaurs, is nothing compared to what fiction would go on to create? Over time, the T-Rex has evolved across media, not in body, but in meaning. The more we imagine it, the more exaggerated, more grotesque it becomes. A symbol not just of prehistoric power, but of our wildest fears, darkest ambitions, and sometimes our most absurd creativity. From genetic abominations and nightmare stalkers, to machine gods and cosmic beasts, some fictional T-Rexes break the rules of science, and others, the laws of reality itself. And by the time we reach the last one on this list, you'll realize the T-Rex you once feared feels more like a house pet. So let's begin with the first creation that pushed the concept beyond biology, the one that was never meant to exist. To begin with, we have the Indominus Rex. She was never meant to exist. The Indominus Rex wasn't born in nature, not even in a prehistoric age. She was designed, built, inside a laboratory, one terrifying piece at a time, engineered by corporate ambition and created with a single purpose: to be more dangerous, more intelligent, more awe-inspiring than anything that came before her. To the public, she was a spectacle. To the scientists behind her, a resume bullet point. But at her core, she was a monster pretending to be a dinosaur. Her DNA began with a T-Rex, but that was only the foundation. Woven into it were Velociraptor, the Tyrannosaurus, Carnotaurus, Giganotosaurus, and even modern creatures: squid for camouflage, tree frogs for thermal adaptation, and snakes for heat detection. The result? A creature that could vanish, sense human presence, and kill without a sound. She didn't just hunt, she outsmarted, tearing out her tracking chip, luring humans into traps, challenging the alpha with surgical precision. And when she fought the original Rex in Jurassic World, she won easily. Indominus didn't kill out of hunger. She killed for dominance, for a strange sense of superiority born from cold, artificial isolation. No natural order, no ecosystem. Just her, and the world beneath her claws. She wasn't evolution. She was a warning. The moment we decided to rewrite nature, we accidentally created its successor. But if Indominus was humanity's nightmare, the next Rex on this list belongs to nature itself. For the next Tyrannosaurus, we have the V-Rex. Hidden from time on the deadly primeval terrain of Skull Island, the Vastatosaurus Rex is what happens when nature doesn't just let a T-Rex survive, but forces it to evolve under constant merciless pressure. In this land, survival isn't guaranteed. It's earned by brutality. Eat or be eaten isn't just a rule, it's a law etched into every tooth and bone. The result? A creature bigger and deadlier than its prehistoric ancestor. At nearly 50 feet long and weighing over 12 tons, the V-Rex dwarfs the famous Jurassic Park Rex. Its skull is reinforced with bony ridges designed for combat. Its body, covered in bruised black armor-like skin, shrugs off bullets like mosquito bites. Its bite force, nearly double that of a real-life T-Rex. But this monster isn't slow. Vastatosaurus sprints, dodges, climbs. It stalks prey through the dense jungle like a veteran predator, blending size and agility so perfectly it fought and injured King Kong in a 3-on-1 battle. This isn't a dinosaur stuck in the past. It's the final product of isolation and violence. Millions of years compressed into muscle, rage, and instinct. Its senses are honed to perfection. Eyes trained to detect the slightest movement in shadows, nostrils flaring at scent trails miles away. It doesn't just dominate its surroundings, it owns them. If Indominus was an error born from man's pride, the Vastatosaurus is a brutal reminder that nature is still the cruelest engineer of all. And sometimes the scariest things are the ones that could have evolved. Who remembers the villain from The Land Before Time? Hidden within what seemed to be a children's animated film, this T-Rex was never made for young audiences. He wasn't friendly, he didn't talk, he didn't need to. At first glance, he might have seemed like just another evil dinosaur from old cartoons, but Sharptooth was, in truth, pure psychological terror disguised as a children's animation. He hunted, not with hunger, with purpose, with eyes locked on a group of tiny, orphaned dinosaurs, scared, vulnerable, lost. Sharptooth didn't stop, no matter how far they ran, no matter what stood in his way. He survived what should have been a fatal fall off a cliff so high it vanished into clouds. He took a full-body blow from a long-necked adult dinosaur and kept coming. He smashed through boulders with sheer brute force. He bled, he roared, he chased, but never once did he give up. And that's what made him terrifying. Sharptooth wasn't just a predator. He was pure obsession, cold, relentless, unstoppable, like a prehistoric version of a slasher villain. Silent, unfeeling, driven, a Jason Voorhees with scales. It's no wonder a generation grew up having nightmares of those glowing red eyes in the dark, of that growl echoing through the trees. To a child's imagination, he wasn't a dinosaur. He was death, and death, in the land before time, never wore a cape. It had talons, and just when you thought you were safe, it was waiting around the next corner. But what happens when the monster isn't driven by rage, but by pain? Who here has ever seen a T-Rex battle giant spiders, fire demons, or beings that can completely bend reality? Probably none of you, because in a world where everything is a threat, Fang stands out as one of the most powerful T-Rexes ever seen. Fang was a mother. That's where it starts. A primal creature living in a brutal prehistoric world depicted in the animated series Primal. But when she lost her children, something inside her snapped. She doesn't speak, she doesn't cry, she doesn't reason, she survives. And survival for Fang means unleashing a level of fury we don't expect from a dinosaur. She fights alongside a caveman named Spear, and their bond isn't cute, it's forged in blood. Together, they wage war against beasts. The mind struggles to comprehend giants, demons, grotesque aberrations. Fang doesn't just live through these battles, she dominates them. She's been crushed by creatures 10 times her size, gored, burned alive, thrown against rock walls, and dropped from lethal heights. But every single time she rises, no pause, no fear, only the echo of the pain she carries and the rage it fuels. She once ripped the upper jaw clean off an armored dinosaur with a single, precise bite. She's charged through fire, claws dripping. She's taken on a demon engulfed in flame, while on fire herself, and still fought to the end. Is she the biggest T-Rex? Number. Not the fastest, but that's never what made her terrifying. It's her refusal to die. Fang is a living weapon powered by heartbreak, molded by trauma, and sharpened in the chaos of a world that never cared if she survived. And that makes her more dangerous than anything born from science or evolution. But if Fang is pain made flesh, what happens when you take the soul out completely and replace it with metal? Now let's move on to the next T-Rex, and this one is very different from the others. This is Grimlock, from the Transformers universe, a gigantic Dinobot that transforms into a colossal metallic Tyrannosaurus Rex, driven by uncontrollable fury and armed with a bite so powerful it can cut through reinforced steel as if it were paper. He can rip other giant robots in half with ease and crush anything that stands in his way. Grimlock also has the ability to breathe fire and unleash heat rays hotter than a volcano. To give you an idea of his power, even Megatron fears him, because Grimlock has already defeated both Megatron in alternate versions and Shockwave. His resilience makes him nearly immune to conventional damage. Grimlock is the embodiment of technological power taken to the extreme. He's the perfect fusion of prehistoric ferocity and alien technology, proof that the most terrifying tyrannosaur isn't defined by its teeth, but by its devastating weaponry. He growls in code, powered by alien energy and filled with prehistoric fury. Born not from flesh, but forged from Cybertronian metal, Grimlock is one of the deadliest Dinobots in the Transformers universe, a mechanical T-Rex built by AI, designed for war. His jaws don't just tear through meat, they crush tanks. Steel-reinforced armor, useless. Lasers, they bounce off like raindrops. Entire squads of Decepticons, flattened beneath his metal feet. Grimlock's mouth doesn't just bite, it burns. A direct blast from his flame breath melts steel like wax. He's tank-sized, fire-breathing, and often acts without orders. Because, let's face it, he doesn't really take orders. He fights on instinct, pride, and raw destruction, and yet somehow he's not the villain. Grimlock is loyal to his own kind. He's like an ancient god of war, a being that descends into chaos only when summoned or provoked. And when that moment comes, there's no stopping him. Even Megatron knows to tread carefully. That's what makes Grimlock so uniquely terrifying. He's not malicious like Indominus, not driven by pain like Fang. He isn't obsessed or evolved. He simply fights because that's what he was created to do. He's the T-Rex redesigned for modern warfare, a weaponized survivor of extinction, with no heartbeat, no fear, and no limits to the destruction he can unleash. But if Grimlock is technology given teeth, then the next one is reality itself given claws. There are T-Rexes that break bones. There are T-Rexes that break logic. And then there's Terry. In the anime Dinosaur King, Terry is a T-Rex only in shape, because what moves inside him is pure chaos. At first glance, you might think he's just another CGI dinosaur in a battle card anime, but then you realize this thing launches fireballs, bends reality, and summons elemental attacks as if channeling the universe itself. Need fire? Terry's got the volcanic blazer. Need lightning, wind, or cosmic annihilation? No problem. Just play the right card. This isn't a dinosaur. This is Dragon, Landslide, and Death, disguised in orange scale. He's thrown 10-ton Triceratops, defeated Spinosaurus with a single strike, and shrugged off lightning, tornadoes, and brutal attacks from the heavens as if they were pillows. He's survived cannon fire, magical vortexes, and came out smiling. One of his ultimate attacks? Terry is so powerful that his escape move can destroy the universe. Yes, the universe. Terry is far more than a dinosaur. He's a divine entity within the body of one. Beyond being the king of dinosaurs, he's the ruler of entire realities. His abilities transcend anything physiology could ever explain. Literally, not metaphorically. The multiverse bends, time warps, space collapses, and he's still there, waiting for the next fight. And what makes it all even more absurd? He still moves like a wild animal, still growls, bites, claws. The instinct of a beast fused with the power of a god. Terry can't be tricked, outmatched, or disarmed because his rulebook doesn't exist. He is anime, logic made flesh, infinite scale, infinite endurance, infinite exaggeration. He's not the king of dinosaurs. He's the king of narrative overdrive. If Indominus questioned nature and Grimlock reimagined it, Terry erased it entirely, and then rewrote the next version with a single stomp. The T-Rex started as the king of dinosaurs, but fiction turned it into something far beyond that. Each version we explored today shows a different side of our imagination. Fear, pain, power, chaos. These monsters aren't just prehistoric, they're mirrors of us. From science gone wrong to gods in dino form, one thing is clear. We didn't just evolve the T-Rex, we amplified it, and maybe that's why we still love it. Because the most terrifying things are the ones we create ourselves. If this blew your mind, like the video, subscribe, and share. This was only the beginning.